Okay, so we're going to talk about a pretty controversial guy today. Okay, we're going to talk about Andrew Tate. And, oh my God. Okay, so basically, for anyone that doesn't know who that is, that's someone that like basically boxed, fought, whatever, and like had a specific upbringing in like inner city London, and now he teaches like young men or left behind men how to like be better. And I'm going to tell you why it doesn't work. So, the concept of, and outside of his other legal issues, that if he really did, he'll probably rot in prison for the rest of his life. But that's someone else's job to figure out. What my job here today is to tell you why his stuff doesn't work. So his things where he wants to teach young men how to be better and stuff like that. Okay, it does not work because the young men that usually like his clientele that he's coming to usually didn't have anything like to be proud of to begin with in their lives. I know that's mean to say, but it's absolutely true. Like, if you've like hit like 23, 24, 25 as a male and you don't have anything to really be proud of outside of like say graduating high school or doing some like high school sports, that's really sad. And if you haven't developed like self-esteem, self-confidence, things like that, it might be a little late for you. Like, unfortunately, I do blame like, bad father figures, and not enough good father figures in the house that contributed to things like this. If you don't have a strong like father figure, like I was very fortunate to have one. Like even if it was just my stepdad, like I had a very strong male figure in the household that actually, taught me some good skills. Was it always fun? No. But, I can say I'm actually thankful for, you know, a situation like that where I was taught, good traditional skills and stuff. I mean, it doesn't even matter what side of the political spectrum you come out on. Like having a good father figure that transfers that knowledge and experience to another one is like actually all that matters in that, because like that can really help you. So, anyways, Andrew Tate, he'll sit there and like basically like I've done some research into it. Like he has a YouTube thing where he teaches, men how to build like say a superficial quick confidence to try to just fake their way into, hey, I have good like, ethics, morals, whatever as a guy. But it doesn't translate because there's not like a good ethical foundation to it. Like it's kind of like, oh yeah, I'll put everyone else down just to make myself feel better real quick. To artificially fake it like I have confidence. Like this could work for a short time, but eventually, eventually what happens is a lot of these young men have like put themselves into more subservient positions and like they go back to work saying that stuff. It's like, dude, shut up. Don't even talk to me. Just get out of here. You'll find your probably fast road to getting pink slipped in your like profession. Whatever that is, because if you've spent X amount of years doing that, you'd have to make serious life changes just to get out of some of those jobs or roles, right? And that's okay. Listen, if you're in a role where you help people, where you're like in a service type of role, listen, nothing wrong with that. And you can have dignity as you do that too. But you're not going to learn that through Andrew Tate. I'm telling you that right now. Um, Another thing too is I've heard horror stories. Like I read like this online thing where they sent like where people paid like $20,000 to go sit for like a weekend workshop with like Andrew Tate. The first thing Andrew Tate did was had these guys pummel each other and beat each other up. Now, some would say, okay, are we just manning them up? Well, it doesn't work like that because you were kind of supposed to get that out like when you were a teenager, you know? Like when you're a teenager, it's a teenage boy, it's relatively healthy to engage in sports like wrestling, boxing, kickboxing, whatever, between like the ages of like 11 to like probably 15, right? So that you can like gain like self-confidence to protect yourself. And if you don't think, you know, you need to be able to defend yourself as a male, you're just crazy. You're just like sticking your own head in the dirt because, you know, what happens like if you have, say, like, you know, a family you have to protect, or, you know, are you really just going to let someone bully you? You know what I mean? So, like, it's not absolute insanity to say, hey, young men, like, are missing out on skills and they need to have skills. Yeah, no, that's not a thing. Because, like, for example, if you look at, like, the traditional, like, you know, masculinity versus femininity, like, you know, balances, like for women, it's a lot easier. They have a few stages. It's maiden, mother, crone, right? Like maiden is a young woman, right? Um, Mother is like, you know, everyone knows what that is. It's pretty self-explanatory. Then crone is like, you know, an older woman that you need to show respect to, right? That, you know, and like men and women both need to be shown respect to like older women, right? And shit like that because they might have like, you know, good knowledge, skills, whatever, right? Like this should be really common sense shit, but you'd be surprised how many people like don't understand this. And then like, but males, way more stages. Oh my God, way more stages. Like you have the fighter, like we talked about earlier, 11 to 15. You got the lover, like 15 to like, I don't know, 23, kind of like, and this is if you're going through healthy development stages, right? Then you have like the king from like 25 or like 30 to like, you know, probably 40 or 50. Then like you have old man wear, right? Where it's almost like the male equivalent of like the crone where, you know, you need to be shown some level of respect, whatever, you know, you're there to kind of like transmit knowledge back down, right? But you notice something though. We have more developmental stages for healthy development for young men than we do for women. And I don't know why that is. It could be biology, it might be cultural. It doesn't matter what it is. The point is, there is way more developmental stages that have to be hit for young men to be healthy, to be like, you know, self-actualized, to be whatever. And you know, you see so many young men getting to 25 and missing like 2 or 3 stages. Because here's the thing, you cannot graduate to the next stage without hitting those first couple. And like, it's kind of sad, you know? And I don't know what to do to honestly fix this problem because, I mean, if it were simple, it'd be fixed, right? I mean, like, you know, there'd be some psychologist that would come out with something like, just send your son to this thing, you know, if he's underperforming and he'll do good. I mean, shit, you know, like for example, Andrew Tate looks at these young men that, you know, need help and he knows he's not going to fix any of them. That's the whole thing that should concern you. He knows he's not going to fix them. He knows they're like fucking unsavable at this point. And honestly, I just think it's a money fucking grab, if you want my absolute opinion. Like, I've heard some people say, well, maybe it's like the answer. Maybe these young men need tough love. And maybe that's the case. But here's the thing, is that Andrew Tate's going to come to you as like, you know, a well-adjusted man, and he's going to treat you way differently, and you're going to get way different shit out of if you read the same thing, like say the same transcript, watch the same video, you're going to get something way different than a young man that never got adjusted. It's so sad. because it's almost like, to a young man that never adjusted, it's going to look like it might as well be hieroglyphs. Be, if you didn't have like a good male father figure to begin with. And I just think anyone that like studies anything from Andrew Tate and like is coming from a position where they're like don't have those skills already, it's really dangerous because I feel like it just makes people's lives worse. That's my philosophy on why Andrew Tate's system is a waste of your time and it would not work.